Hello there! This week I wanted to make a video on my top 10 tips for developing artists. I got a few requests to make some beginner friendly videos for people who haven't been drawing that long, and I figured that this would be a good place to start out with. While talking about this subject, I'm just going to be working on some quicker illustrations. I did them all on my iPad Pro and I was just trying to get more into the habit of using the iPad, get more comfortable with it, as well as trying to expand sort of the range of things that I kind of can draw easily. At the same time, I was sort of thinking that I might be able to print these and put them up in the walls of my dorm room because they look kind of blank and bleak. So the first tip I'm going to be giving if you're just starting out is to draw what you like. I believe that the most important thing about when you're just starting out is to cultivate a very strong sense of love and connection to drawing. To do that, you have to be having fun and you have to be happy with the things that you make. My dad, when he was a kid, wanted to learn how to play the guitar, and my grandma stuck him in a classical guitar lesson. He wanted to learn rock songs like Bon Jovi and I don't know, just like those classic rock songs with power chords and fun riffs and all that kind of stuff. But he was forced to learn sheet music. So because he spent so long learning sheet music, he wasn't very happy and he did not continue playing the guitar, and now he can only play like one little riff like Smoke on the Water, something like that. So if you like to draw some super cool superheroes, actiony stuff, then draw that. If you like to draw cute, adorable animals, you should draw that. If you like to draw wildlife or whatever you like to draw, whatever makes you happy, you should do that. And keep doing that because it makes you happy. And as you go on doing those sort of things, you're just going to have all this love for art and all these happy feelings associated that later on you can, diversify and try to do things you might not be so excited about to progress. But the most important thing is to start with having that love for art and drawing as a foundation. My second beginner tip is now a little bit more of a drawing philosophy or a learning philosophy, and I heard this when I was just starting out, 8 years ago now, by Mark Crilly. He said it, and it's draw what something actually looks like, not what you think it looks like, because our brains and perceptions get clouded and they aren't necessarily reliable. So if you're frustrated with something not looking right, find a reference for how it's meant to look like or go look at it or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with using references, because references are how you're going to learn. How else are you supposed to know what something looks like if you don't look at it and you actively look at it while you're drawing it? It's really important. My next tip involves materials. So when you're still learning and new and trying to figure things out, you watch all these videos of all these people that use tools that you can't find or you can't afford, and they're kind of crazy. And you can sometimes get into the mentality of, if only I had that one specific tool, I'd be able to do this kind of artwork. Or if I just have better supplies, my work will be better. That's not true. Supplies enhance the work and the experience, but they don't make it for you. So just because you have the best watercolor paints doesn't mean you're going to be an expert at watercolor painting. That being said, ease of use is a factor. So nothing beats pencil and paper, but if your pencil lead keeps snapping, if your eraser eats away at your paper, if your pencil hurts your hand, then it's time to find something else. That particular paper, that particular pencil, that particular eraser, if it keeps messing you up, then there are other pencils and other erasers, and they don't even have to be expensive. Most of them actually aren't. But you might have to do a bit of searching and quite a lot of trial and error actually. So the basics of my this tip, the third tip, is you don't need the best supplies to make the best work, but if you're constantly fighting with your tools, it's time to trade them for new ones. My fourth tip is something that I'm absolutely 100% positive you've heard already, and it's draw a lot. Draw as much as you can. It's important that you follow the first tip in drawing what you like, because otherwise you won't be able to keep this up for very long. If you're not happy with what you're drawing and you draw a lot of it, you're going to burn yourself out in no time. So once you're comfortable and you're more settled, and it's kind of, for example, I get withdrawal symptoms, I get twitchy if I don't draw. If I don't draw for a week, I get really twitchy and my brain goes to some weird places because I don't have that creative outlet. So once you're in that point where you're already drawing a lot and it's ingrained in you, you can start trying out different things. You can try drawing things that you're not that like fond of, maybe just for the sake of improvement, but even if you're not at that stage, the idea is to get as much mileage as possible by drawing a lot. And as long as you keep drawing, you'll keep growing, you'll keep improving. The fifth piece of advice that I have to give you is to diversify what you consume in relation to art. A lot of the time when I'd find myself in a motivational slump, so I wouldn't really get many ideas, or I wouldn't really see myself improving a lot, what got me out of that slump was to just find something new to read, watch, just experience that inspired me. So with this new kind of input of whatever I was doing, I was able to get more ideas and more motivation for drawing. The most common thing that really helps me get out of slumps is to actually find new YouTube content creators that do art. They have a different art style, that they have a different way of doing this. Is if I find a new creator, I get inspired and I learn a lot of new things that when I was previously stuck. The last time I remember this happening was about a year ago. I found this digital artist here on YouTube by the name of Dante, and he does a very different approach to digital painting, and I had been sort of stuck in the way I was doing things digitally until I found him, and he really changed the way that I see digital painting, and I've really improved a lot since I found him. So drawing is as much about consuming media as it is about producing media. So I would really recommend that if you feel yourself sort of stuck, try looking into different avenues to see what inspires you. Tip number 6 comes from what my friend says in regards to training riding horses. So what she says that she does in regards to horses is make the wrong decision hard and the right decision easy. How this applies to art and drawing is keep some drawing supplies close to you as often as you can. Carry a sketchbook in your school bag, have some spare paper and a piece of pencil by your sofa. Anything to make it as convenient as possible to start drawing whenever. It really helps with that tip number 4 that I mentioned a lot, where the more you draw, the more you improve. Tip number 7 is not to be too hard on yourself. Don't get caught up on comparing yourself with other artists that post online. Don't beat yourself up if your drawing doesn't look like how you imagined it. Take breaks and time off drawing if you feel you need it. My best tip for if you can't help but compare yourself to others is compare yourself to yourself. When you compare yourself to others, you're always going to find someone out there that when you look at their work and you look at your own, it doesn't make you feel so good. But if you look at your own work, your older stuff, and you look at your current stuff, then you will really see your improvement. I think that the tag of draw this again, where you grab an old drawing and redraw it with your current skill set, is super motivating, and it will really help you get out of if you can't stop comparing yourself. If you compare it to your old artwork and you see what you can do now, you'll really just see how much you've improved, because you are improving. So you just have to let yourself see that instead of what everyone else is doing. My next tip might be a little controversial, fair warning, but tip number 8 is that if you're really just starting out and you have no idea where to go, how to do, or how this looks like, or you have no idea how to start, is copy something or even trace something if you really don't trust yourself for just copying. You have to be transparent about if it's copied or traced or anything like that. If you decide to post it, I would recommend maybe not even posting it, because some people on the internet can be really mean, especially to beginners. But copy something, like grab a screenshot from your favorite show or a page from your favorite comic or an artwork from your favorite creator and try to copy it. Take notes on the things they do, how they do it, what it looks like, how it actually reads in regards to how you draw it, so that you can start learning something. It's sort of, when you're taking notes for a test or something like that, you're writing it down and that helps you remember. It's like the most important things for taking notes is to copy the note on paper, because the act of writing it helps commit it to memory. So the act of copying or tracing, even if it's not your own original idea from the beginning, it helps you learn and remember. So the next time you draw that particular thing, you're not copying it, but you learn sort of how to do it, and then you can put your own spin. And if you do it from a somewhat diverse sort, like if you copy a Western comic and then a really cartoony kind of thing and then a really anime kind of thing, you have this kind of pool of things that you sort of learned, and then when you put it all together without looking at any of those, you have your own blend of things that make up your style. So yeah, really just try copying or tracing if you're really stuck. and just make sure you're transparent about that if you ever post it or show it to anyone, saying that you copied it or you traced it, because we really don't like stealing artwork. Tip number 9 is to be as experimental as possible. Don't think that just because one artist does it one way, you have to do it as well. Your favorite artist might use markers, but maybe you'll do your best work in watercolors. But you won't know that unless you give that medium a try. And this applies to styles as well. You might be very drawn to exaggerated and detailed Western comic styles, but end up having an immense talent for simplified cartoons, or even subjects. Try drawing as many subjects as possible to see what might click with you, from characters to animals to buildings to plants. You'll never know what you could discover by trying out new things. The art that I'm working on in this video is a good example of me branching out and experimenting with different subjects myself. Like, I typically don't draw this sort of thing, but I wanted to try it out just to see if maybe I could learn or click with something, and I might be able to translate it to when I do return to doing my more common type of subjects. And my 10th and final tip is to never let go of your creative outlet. So even if you're just starting out with drawing, and even if you find out that drawing might not be your thing, just find another creative outlet to pour that energy in. You might not like painting so much, but you might like sketching. You might not like sketching, but you like sculpting. You might not like anything to do with visual media, but you like baking. So no matter what, keep something creative in your life. For me, that's drawing and also a bit of music, but mostly just drawing and painting. And yeah, just don't give it up no matter what, because it's super important to have that sort of creative outlet as a person. Just don't give up. So my tips didn't really consist of that many practical, technical, how-to kind of drawing tips. I would consider them more of 10 philosophies regarding art that could help beginners. But I think it's equally as important to get advice in regards to mindsets and attitudes as it is actual technical instruction. I do intend to make some tutorials in the future though. I'll put a poll in the card on the topics I'm planning on potentially making tutorials for, so let me know there or in the comments which ones sound the most interesting to you or useful, and the ones that get the most votes and mentions, or even I'll add to the list the ones that are in the comments that aren't in my poll, will sort of be pushed up in the to-do list. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next week.